Yep, good morning. What's up, KP? What's up, Ashton? Y'all ready for some football today? What's up, Trenton? Joseph? Falcons fan? Noah? Spence? Melon? Crawdad? Juan? Tom Cow? John? KP? Dirty Bird? Adam? Aaron? What's up? Y'all ready for some football? Woo! Good games today, too. Of course, Georgia, Florida. What else? Penn State, Ohio State, Notre Dame, NC State. Gonna be some good ones. Troy, what's up, buddy? I appreciate that. Trenton, how often do I come up to North Georgia? Usually about once a year. I might be going up there this year, late January or February. Last year, I think I went in October. Good morning, Kyle. Dogs 42-10. I don't think that's too far from the truth, really. I have a feeling that Georgia, I've said it a couple of times this week, but I really have a feeling that Georgia's got a point to prove today. The playoff poll comes out on Tuesday. So obviously the most recent game it will be what's freshest in their mind when they're getting ready to make that poll. And I get it that the first poll doesn't really matter, but it can matter. Georgia needs to be as high as we can in that playoff poll in case we catch a loss, because it's not fair, but teams that lose late in the season get treated worse than teams that lose early in the season. Like take Ohio State, for example. They got blown out by Oklahoma. If they win the rest of their games, they'll still make the college football playoff. That's just the way it is. The later the season gets, the harder it is to absorb a loss. So we need to be as high as we can in this playoff poll. 31-14. Yeah, I think my prediction was Georgia to win by 24 or 25, like something like 38-13, 38-14, something like that is what I'm hoping for. I don't want a close game. I don't feel like having to sweat today. Georgia game's at 3:30. 779. Raging Rob's Ghost unsubbed me for bashing his Confederacy. He's been telling me that for about 3 months now, but yet he's still here. So. And I didn't bash the Confederacy. What he's actually mad about is something on Facebook. Something I said about the Confederate flag is what's got him all in a tizzy. If Tony has 300 yards, then we'll have a chance. Yeah, maybe. Do you like pancakes? That's funny you asked that. I made pancakes this morning for Lou Jr. and Mrs. Lou. Lou Ann spent the night with her grandparents last night, but I made pancakes this morning for me, Mrs. Lou, and Lou Jr. Ohio State fan for a day. Hope Penn State goes down, says Tom Brown. Yeah, I've been high on Penn State, and I picked Penn State to win the game, but obviously the best thing for Georgia would be for Penn State to lose. I'm not saying Ohio State can't win, but until I see Ohio State show up for a big game, I just can't pick them to win. So that's why I picked Penn State. But I expect that to be a good game. What's up, Bubba? Good morning! Steve, what's up in Covington today, dude? Juan Luna says Alabama's average. You know what? I'm going to have to go ahead and agree with you there. Thoughts on FSU? Oh, Lord. Look, Florida State, I made a post on Facebook this morning. This is all the post said. Missouri, Rutgers, Baylor, Florida State. I'm sorry, those are the four worst teams. Those are the four worst teams in the Power 5. Baylor, Missouri, Rutgers, and Florida State. It is absolutely pathetic that Florida State is this bad. And to my knowledge, they haven't lost anybody other than their starting quarterback. And even if they've lost other people, it's week 7, week 8, week 9. Every team in America has injuries. Every team in America has players hurt at this point. I mean, Georgia's been playing the last 3 or 4 weeks with 3 defensive starters out. Okay? We lost our starting quarterback week 1. We're not 2-5. So this just tells me that Florida State's just not a good team. Forget their quarterback. They're just not a good team. And on top of that, they don't flat give up. If I'm a junior or senior on that team, what it looks like to me is that the juniors and seniors on that team who think they have a chance to go to the NFL draft have done cashed it in. They're done. They might as well just ride the bench the rest of the season. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I'm behind the camera right now. What do you need to see me or something? How's everyone doing? Good morning. Hey, listen. Huh? Now this, for real, right? The hoodie? Huh? I mean, this is professional, right? Got the new hat, too. Where's the other one? Here's the other one, the flat bill one. And then I just got this one in, too. So, hey, if you're one of those 2 people that won the LouTube shirt or the LouTube hat, they came in yesterday. Now, today's Saturday, so obviously I'm not going to the post office today. Way too busy and much too important to go to the post office today. Gotta watch football. But if you're if you won the hat, the Uncle Lou hat, or if you won the Uncle Lou shirt, that will be mailed out Monday. To the guy that won the jersey, I haven't got the jersey yet, so it's going to be a little bit while longer on the jersey. Chris says, Lou, you be on suicide watch after the Gators handled... I'm telling you right now, I've been doing YouTube a long time, and I've made post-game reaction videos after games we've lost before. This would be the biggest surprise. If Georgia loses, this would be the most unexpected loss that Georgia has had since I've been doing YouTube. I would go, if Georgia happens to lose this game, I will go absolutely 100% full potato. I don't even want to think about what I might do if Georgia loses this game. I'm so confident that Georgia not only wins this game, but wins it big. If we somehow were to lose this game, I'm afraid to think about what I might do, and I know Mrs. Lou is afraid of what I might break. Colquitt County, what's up, Mike? Who's on the hot seat? Well, obviously Butch Jones. Who else? Brett Bielema. It's starting to... This is crazy to me. I don't think I talked about this on video. It's starting to look more and more like Jim McElwain will not be the coach of Florida next year, and that just blows my mind. As much hell as I give Florida and the Florida Gators, if they lose a coach who has won the East the last 2 years, that's going to blow my mind. I think that would be a terrible move if Florida fired him. Not necessarily because he's a great coach, but just for the precedent that sets. Like, what are your expectations out of your... I just can't imagine any coach in America getting fired who's won their division 2 of the last 3 years. I can't imagine that. And if they fire him, I don't know what coach would take that job. How do you... You're basically telling the coach your expectations is to win the East every single year or you're getting fired. That just doesn't seem realistic to me. And on top of that, how many teams in America right now would have a better record than Florida if they lost over 10% of their scholarship players the week before the season started? Now, I get it. It's only 2 starters or major contributors in Jordan Scarlett and Antonio Callaway. But that's their 2 best players on offense. Now, and then the rest were backups or whatever, but let's be real. Backups play. Especially late in the season, like I just talked about. Everybody's injured and hurt and banged up and this and that. How many teams in America would have a better record than Florida if they lost over 10% of their scholarship players the week the season started. Not very many. So as much as I hate Florida and the Shark Humper, McElwain, I don't know how anybody could have done an any better job. But I think he might quit, though. Forget Florida firing him. He might quit. You know, he comes out with the whole I'm getting death threats thing, and then the university doesn't back him up at all. Basically releasing a statement saying, well, we asked Coach Mack about it, and he refused to provide any details or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I don't understand. USC fan, Village Boy. Why are you a USC fan if you're a Kansas City fan? And are you talking about Southern Cal or South Carolina? I'm going to assume South Carolina because there's no... That just screams... I mean, I'm going to assume Southern Cal. The UNCLELOU shirts are for sale now, $77.99. If you look on the description, I don't think it's in the description of this video because I usually add it after I do the videos. But if you look in the description of most of my videos, especially the recent ones, you'll see a link to a UNCLELOU spreadshirt store. And there's a couple of different shirts and hats and sweatshirts and stuff like that on there. I think West Virginia is a good team. Their only losses are to... Who is Virginia Tech lost to? I mean, West Virginia has lost to Virginia Tech and TCU, right? Well, TCU's undefeated and Virginia Tech only has one loss. So I think West Virginia's a pretty good team. Who do they play today? Oklahoma State, right? I picked Oklahoma State to win that game. They'll score 200 points in that game, though. No defense in that game. This would be a track meet. Do I think Penn State is overrated? No, I don't. Is Tennessee going to win today? No. I picked Tennessee to lose today, and that was before two of their players got suspended, including their best player, John Kelly. No. Tennessee will not win today. What's my prediction for the Florida-Georgia game? Soccer Insider wants to know. I say somewhere in the neighborhood of 38-13. NC State or Notre Dame? Notre Dame. Some of y'all aren't watching UNCLELOU videos every day like you're supposed to be because you're asking a bunch of questions that have already been answered earlier in the week on video. So I'm not sure what the problem is, but as you probably know and should be aware, you're supposed to be watching UNCLELOU every single day, and you would know the answers to a lot of these questions that you're asking. So let's try to do a little bit better there. Who do I think will win the Heisman Trophy? Saquon Barkley. Faith and Felipe Franks? No. No. Florida's best quarterback plays for West Virginia, Will Grier. Who's better, Kansas or Missouri? Oh my God. I'm going to say Missouri. I just, the Big 12 plays no defense at all, and that includes Kansas. So I think Missouri would be able to score enough points to beat Kansas. But what a boring game that would be. Tony says Franks is trash. I completely agree. Yeah, I heard the Florida players talking trash. I haven't made a video about that or even mentioned it on video yet. But guarantee that will be brought up in the post-game video. I promise you. What's my opinion on Taquan Marshall? I think he's a perfect quarterback to run that rinky-dink circus crap that Paul Johnson runs at Georgia Tech. You know, he had no other option. The guy's like 5'6", 140 pounds. He would get bent in half, you know, if he played in the SEC or somewhere like that. And look, I don't ever root for injuries or anything like that. But when I watched the Georgia Tech-Tennessee game week 1, and first saw that Taquan Marshall, I said, this guy won't last 1 month. He's just too small. But he's done good this year. I mean, I hate Georgia Tech, but he's done good for what they do. He runs that option really well. You take Fromm the best freshman in America. I wouldn't say that. I mean, I would have to think and do some looking around, but I mean, Jake Fromm is really good, and he's doing what he's asked to do at a very high level. Will Georgia beat Alabama? Of course, Alabama's an average team. thoughts on Ohio State quarterback J.T. Barrett. J.T. Barrett, this guy, J.T. Barrett was in college when George W. Bush was president. The guy's been there forever. He's got to be 35 years old. He's not any good. Like the majority of Ohio State quarterbacks under Urban Meyer, if he wants to have any type of career after college, it's either going to be selling used cars or playing wide receiver in the NFL. The guy is not a quarterback. He's terrible. He's goofy looking. He looks fat, really, to me. He reminds me of Jared Lorenzen, maybe not quite that fat, but he can't throw, he can't pass. Like I said, he's been in college for 10 years, still can't read a defense, can't make simple, basic throws. You know, he's a big guy who's hard to bring down in terms of his running ability, but as far as being a quarterback, he's not any good. When playing Alabama, do you start Fromm or Eason? I think it's too late at this point to go back to Eason. I think Fromm will be your starter no matter what, and I don't think Fromm would get pulled even unless it got, you know, unless he looked really multiple interceptions, something like that. I think this is Fromm's team at this point. Daniel says South Carolina's going to ruin y'all's dreams this year, next week. Well, first of all, that's impossible for a couple of different reasons. Number one, you can't beat UGA. You're playing in Athens. 2 years ago when you came to Athens, we hung 50-something points on you, ran Spurrier out of town. He never recovered. He's got dementia and drools on himself now. Number two, one loss is not going to end Georgia's... One loss won't do anything to Georgia. We could lose today. We could lose to South Carolina. Now, we can't lose them both. We could lose to Auburn. We could lose one of any three of those games. And as long as we win the East with one loss and beat Alabama in the championship game, we're in the playoffs. So there is no team who can ruin Georgia's season with one loss, other than Alabama in the championship game. That's it. So your whole point and logic was flawed from the beginning, sir, which is not surprising at all, considering it's coming from a South Carolina fan. So I just leave it at that. I'm not going to go off on South Carolina. I just don't feel like doing that today. The Jazz says he wants Eason to play today. I doubt you'll see Eason today unless it's late in the fourth quarter. Swift goes for 100 all-purpose yards. I can see that happening. What happened to the NCAA 13 videos? I'll get back to those in the off season. Maybe even in December when there's you know, a month or so between Georgia's last game and the bowl game or something like that. I don't have time to do those during the season when I'm doing videos, sometimes 2 or 3 videos every single day. Where's Spurrier these days? He's a special assistant at the University of Florida. He really doesn't do anything. It's sort of just an honorary position, but that technically he's employed by the University of Florida. Law Tide, what's up, Lou? How bad is Georgia going to beat UF? I say somewhere in the neighborhood of 38-13, 35-14, something in that range there. Yeah, Georgia's wearing white jerseys today, something different for the Florida game. Of course, we normally wear the red. Switching it up, wearing the white jerseys today. I don't put much faith or stock in uniforms or jersey colors having much of an impact on the game. I'm a fan of the black jerseys and stuff like that once a year just because I think it's a cool experience for fans and for the players. But in terms of having an impact on the outcome of the game, no, it doesn't. Who do I think the freak of the week is? I'm going to say Roquan Smith today. I think he has a big game. I hope we wear the black jerseys later in the season. Well, the plan was to wear the black jerseys against South Carolina. However, the South Carolina is going to be a 3:30 game. I'm pretty sure. CBS has picked up the LSU-Alabama game next week, but they're playing it in prime time. So I have a feeling the Georgia-South Carolina game will be at 3:30, which means we may not do the black jerseys. We may wait and maybe do them against Kentucky if that's a night game, but I really don't know at this point. What if Easton transfers? That's a very good possibility, and if he does, you really can't blame him. It's hard to be mad at him if he transfers. I hope, you know, obviously I hope we keep him. You never know what's going to happen. You need all the talent you can get. But it's going to be hard to blame him if he transfers. Mikey says James Cook isn't good. I'm guessing Mikey is a fan of a team that wanted James Cook and didn't get him, so now he's saying he's no good. That's typically the way it goes. But regardless of what you think, Mikey, the experts who do this stuff for a living tell Uncle Lou and everyone else that James Cook is the 3rd or 4th best running back prospect in America. So suck on that, numbnut. Do you think 2 SEC teams can go to the playoffs? I think it's a possibility, but I think it's very, very slim for a whole bunch of reasons. Will Sam Darnold go to the NFL? Probably. He's had a terrible year, though. Will UJ make adjustments to stop the deep pass? Well, don't need to this game. Florida can't pass. But, yeah, I mean, those adjustments were already made. Missouri hit two 60-yard passes in the first half of the Missouri game, and then they didn't have 60 yards total the second half. So those adjustments have already been made. Boonk Gang says, I am a Voltard. Well, at least you admit it. That's usually the first step to solving a problem, is admitting that you have one. Bradley Bowen, thoughts on Florida State. When this video ends, Bradley, and I upload it to YouTube, go back and watch it. I talk about Florida State in the very beginning. Can UJ beat Clemson right now? Yes. In the preseason, I wasn't very high on Clemson. After the first couple of weeks, I got real high on Clemson. Now, after watching them for over half the season now, they are not the team they were last year, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if they drop another game in the regular season. Who's the next coach of the Voltards? Hard to say at this point. It's not John Gruden, I can tell you that. Some idiot, Paul Warren, who's a Tennessee fan, just said Florida State is still a good football team. They just lost their quarterback. Well, quarterbacks don't play defense, sir. You give up 30-something points to Boston College. Lots of teams have injuries. Lots of teams lose their quarterback. They don't go from being a top 5 team to missing a bowl game. So miss me with that. Yeah, FSU has quit. I mentioned that earlier. That's what it looks like to me. The juniors and seniors who have NFL plans on that team's only goal at this point is to not get injured. I don't think it'll be Chip Kelly either, although I hope it's Chip Kelly because that'll be an epic failure. Carolina fan says, not getting my hopes up. Y'all should beat Vanderbilt, sir. Carolina should beat Vanderbilt today, no problem. Nick Saban will be at Alabama until he decides he doesn't want to be there anymore, whether that's a year or 10 more years. That's just how it is. Lamar Jackson a bust in the NFL. Maybe. Somebody's going to give him a shot. You know, last year, for some reason, I thought Lamar Jackson was like 5'10" or 5'11" or something. He's not. He's 6'2", 6'3", somewhere in that range there. So he's got the size to be an NFL quarterback. If he can work on his passing a little bit, I think somebody will give him a shot in the NFL. Is he going to be a top 5 pick? Probably not. But I think somebody will give him a chance. Will Grayson Lambert make the NFL? Come on, no. Most hated college football team outside the SEC. I hate Ohio State. I hate Michigan. I hate Florida State. I don't know. It's hard to say. None of those compare to the hate I have for some SEC teams, though. Cam Akers was UGA recruit. Well, everyone was recruiting Cam Akers. He was the #1 running back last year. Does Notre Dame make the playoffs? If they win out, Notre Dame makes it. If they don't, they don't. They're not getting in with 2 losses. So if they win out, they'll make the playoffs, and they'll deserve it. They have one of the toughest schedules in America. Georgia would beat the brakes off of Miami. Look, some of these people that are talking about Miami all the time, not just on here, everywhere, Facebook, Twitter, I have to ask if they've ever watched Miami play a football game this year. Miami is not that good of a team. Just watch them, okay? They had a miracle. I'm talking about, look, the miracle that Miami had to beat Georgia Tech was a bigger miracle than what Tennessee had to beat Georgia last year. That pass is incomplete 999 times out of 1,000. They're not a good team. All of these close fourth quarter comeback wins against garbage teams, Miami is not a good team. Watch what happens when Miami plays Notre Dame. Notre Dame might beat Miami by 100 points. Miami's just not a good team. Now they're undefeated, so look, you got to give them credit. You know, the main goal is to win. And right now, Miami's doing that. They're 6-0, 7-0, whatever they are. But you got to watch them play. You people who just look at the records and say, Miami's making the playoff, you haven't watched any football. You haven't watched any football. They're not a good team. I'll take that back. They're a good team. They're not a great team. And you got to be a great team to have a shot to make the playoffs. They're not a great team. They'll get blowed out by Notre Dame. Here's teams in the ACC that would beat Miami. Virginia Tech, NC State, Clemson. Those three teams would beat Miami. And every team ranked in the top 10 would beat Miami. Every single. There's not a team in the top 10 that would lose to Miami. Not one. Somebody said Miami would be better next year. Now, that I agree with. They have a young team. I agree with that 100%. Next year, Miami may be an elite team, but you got to watch the games this year. They're not an elite team this year. Jim Harbaugh might leave Michigan. Well, a lot of rumors out there. He did release a statement yesterday saying he's not going anywhere, not even considering it. And for the amount of money he's making to do nothing, he'd be crazy to leave. He's making $7, $8, $9 million a year, and obviously there's no expectations there. The guy's never beat his rival, Ohio State, never won the division, never sniffed a Big Ten title or a playoff. And they love him up there, so, you know. NC State or Notre Dame? Notre Dame. I don't think Notre Dame will beat NC State as bad as they beat Southern Cal. Hard to do that 2 weeks in a row against quality opponents. But I do think Notre Dame wins the game. It helps them that this game's at home. Will Tennessee make a bowl game? Not if they don't win today. If they don't win today, no. Miami has the most fertile recruiting grounds in America. True. And we just stole James Cook right out from underneath him. So James Cook's from Miami. So pick for UF versus F. If I had to pick right now, I'd pick Florida to beat Florida State. But what a terrible game that's going to be, huh? Penn State versus Alabama, I would take Alabama in that game. I think Penn State's really good, but they run a traditional style of offense, and SEC defenses are built to shut that down. I think Georgia or Alabama both would beat Penn State in a close game. Tennessee or Baylor? Tennessee. Karma won't allow Baylor to win a game. UGA or TCU? UGA. UGA beat TCU last year in the bowl game without a problem. Both teams are better this year, so UGA still wins again. Can Georgia take Alabama? Yes, they're an average team. Georgia Tech versus Clemson. Clemson wins. Hard to say what the score might be. It's hard to pick Georgia Tech games because you never know how a defense is going to react to that option they run. But I think Clemson scores enough to win the game. Tennessee or FSU? FSU. Penn State or TCU? Penn State. Look, I think TCU is the best team in the Big 12, but I do not think the Big 12 as a whole is that good. It's the worst or second worst conference. So if TCU goes undefeated, they're going to get into the playoffs, but they'll lose round one to whoever they play. Eric Odom wants to know who would win between him and Tennessee. You would, sir. You would dominate. Why do I think the Pac-12 is terrible? Because they don't have any. They have 0 elite teams and only 2 or 3 good teams. Good morning, MC Squirrel. Good morning! Arkansas or Tennessee? Oh, my God. Thank God they don't play the... Jesus. What a terrible game that would be. Wide receiver or running back? Favorite position? Running back. Arizona's winning the Pac-12. Well, see, that would prove my point right there. Because there ain't a soul on earth who thinks Arizona's anywhere close to an elite team. And the fact that they're even in consideration to win the Pac-12 tells you everything you need to know about that garbage can conference. Will UJ ever get another AJ Green? Probably not. The odds of that are slim to none. Herschel Walker or Chubb? Crazy question. Herschel Walker, without question. Herschel Walker's the best college football player of all time. That's not changing anytime soon. There's a Ric Flair 30 for 30? Law Tide, is that for real? Law Tide, you've been known to troll a time or two, but if there's a Ric Flair 30 for 30, then yes, Uncle Lou will watch it. Is that true? When does it come out? Somebody tell me when that's coming out. I gotta see that. Is there a commercial or a preview for it I can look up on YouTube somewhere? I need to check that out. Best QB in UJ history in terms of NFL success, probably Fran Tarkenton. In terms of overall talent, Matthew Stafford. In terms of college career, Aaron Murray. All right, thanks, Law Tide. Yeah, I'll have to look that up. But yeah, I'll definitely watch that. Somebody said David Green. No, David Green is nowhere near the best quarterback in UJ history. David Green was a product of an NFL defense that we had at the time. If Riley Ridley or Terry Godwin remind you of A.J. Green, then you need to go back and watch some A.J. Green footage from when he was at UGA. Riley Ridley and Terry Godwin couldn't hold A.J. Green's jockstrap. A.J. Green is one of the best 4 or 5 college receivers to come through college in this century. I mean, Dez Bryant, A.J. Green, Julio Jones. I mean, comparing anybody on UGA's roster right now to A.J. Green is blasphemy. Figure 4, sharpshooter. Figure 4, son. Justin Blackman was fun to watch in college. You're right. He fell off in the NFL because he was a knucklehead. Riley Ridley. Who are these people? Riley Ridley reminds you of Amari Cooper? Man, come on. Listen. We've had better play from our wide receivers this year than we have the last couple of years. I'll give you that. None of these people are Amari Cooper or A.J. Green. What no? Y'all are trolling. Y'all are trolling like no other. You remember that catch that Terry Godwin had against Notre Dame, that one-handed catch? A.J. Green did that 3 or 4 times a game. Todd Gurley or Nick Chubb? Todd Gurley. People get mad when I say it, but I'm just telling you right now. It's Todd Gurley is better than Nick Chubb, people. Kansas or Arkansas? Arkansas. Jake Fromm or Aaron Murray? Aaron Murray. Aaron Murray is the all-time winningest coach in college history. Jake Fromm has 7 wins. Listen, I hear this all the time, okay, from Georgia fans. I'm curious if this happens in other fan bases too. Every single time Georgia has a player that's any good at all, Georgia fans think that he's the best player. Like, you got people that already think Jake Fromm's the best UJ quarterback of all time. You got people that think Nick Chubb's the best running back of all time. Here you had somebody just now try to tell us Riley Ridley and Terry Godwin are as good as A.J. Green. Listen, just because you're watching someone play today doesn't mean that they're better than somebody that played yesterday. It don't work that way. Okay? Jake Fromm is not as good as Aaron Murray right now. He's not. Now, in 4 years, we can have this conversation. But this man, Jake Fromm's got 7 wins. And he's not winning those games. He's not losing them, but he's not winning them. The guy's averaging 140, 150 a game. Aaron Murray was throwing for 300 yards. We were scoring 45, 50 points a game with Aaron Murray. We had a terrible defense when we had Aaron Murray. And he's still the all-time winningest quarterback in SEC history. Why? Who in their right mind is comparing Jake Fromm to Aaron Murray? This is unbelievable. Do other fan bases do this? Bo Jackson or Herschel Walker? It's Herschel Walker, and it's not close. In terms of running backs, football players. You want to talk about athlete or something? Maybe you could put Bo, maybe you can argue Herschel between Bo, although Herschel's a hell of an athlete too. But listen, Bo Jackson, not as good as Herschel Walker. Not in college, and not in the NFL either. Look it up. I'm not making it up, okay? Bo Jackson never even had a 1,000-yard season in the NFL. Herschel Walker wasted the first years of his career in the USFL before going to the NFL on terrible teams and still had 1,000-yard rushing seasons in the NFL. Bo Jackson never had a single 1,000-yard rushing season in the NFL. People are in love with Bo Jackson because he got on a helicopter and played football and baseball in the same season. No one cares. My favorite UGA team this century, the 2007 team. That was the best team That 2007 Georgia team was the best Georgia team since the early 80s. At least Bo won something? What? What did Bo win? What did Bo win? Tell me. At least Bo won something. Herschel won a national title and 3 SEC titles. What did Bo win? And a Heisman Herschel won too. So you tell me, what at least Bo won something. What the hell did Bo win? Bo won a new hip. That's it. When he was about 25 years old, Bo won a new hip, and that was the end of him. Bo won the Heisman. Herschel won the Heisman and a Natty and 3 SEC titles. And Herschel Walker was the first ever millionaire football player ever. Herschel Walker got the first $1 million contract ever. A.J. Green or Amari Cooper? A.J. Green. Okay, Bo won 2 and a Natty. Herschel won 3 and a Natty. The 2002 Dogs were good too. Their defense was one of the best we've ever had. If Fromm wins today, he'll eclipse anything Murray ever did. Sir, that's the most idiotic comment, with all due respect, that I've ever seen. You can't be serious. The 2007 team is the best UJ team I've seen since the early 80s. So a person who just listed all those years and said name the best one. The last half of the 2007 season, Georgia would have beat any team in America by 20 points. But we Mark Richt 2 games during the first half. We lost to a 500 South Carolina team and a 500 Tennessee team. We lost to 2 terrible teams in the first 6 games of the year. Then we went on a roll the second half of the year, beating everybody we played by 20, 30, and 40 points. Defense was lights out. Offense was lighting it up. Stafford was on fire. We would have beat anybody in America by 20 points. Think Florida will be good next year because of recruiting class. Not if you don't get a quarterback, you won't. 2007 UJ versus 2008 Florida. I would take 2000. That 2007 UJ team is one of the best college football teams, easily in the top 10 for this century. No Sean Moreno, AJ Green, Matt Stafford, defense loaded with NFL players. Fields, Shockley. Hopefully Fields is a little bit better. Paul Warren is still proud of his national championship from last century. Thank you, Paul. Duly noted, sir. Freddie or Jason? Freddie. Yeah, Rhett, that's right. That loss to Tennessee cost us a natty. You were 100% correct. Oh, I'd probably Miami 2001 versus Georgia 2007. I would probably take Miami 2001 there. Frome is better than Murray and Herschel. Jesus Christ. I don't understand how some of you people Velcro your shoes in the morning. Spence says we need to get together and produce the next big-time UJ football podcast. I don't have time to do a weekly podcast or anything like that, but I would be a guest every once in a while or something. I do that a lot of times for people that'll ask me to come on their podcast or radio show or whatever. I don't mind doing that, but I can't commit to a weekly thing there. Don't have time because of how busy and important I am. All right, well, I think I'm going to end this now and watch some of this college game day. But anyway, thanks for watching College Game Day Live with Uncle Lou. Enjoy the games today. I'll have a video at the halftime of the Georgia-Florida game for sure. And, of course, the post-game reaction to Georgia-Florida. And if anything else crazy happens with the games today, then you guys know I'll make a video for you. But anyway, I hope y'all have fun. I hope your team wins unless you're a Florida fan, in which case you just have no hope or chance today. It's over for you already. But I hope y'all have a good time watching the games today, and go Dogs.